Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the DJ to the celebrities, featured on Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, the CEO of Edge Entertainment, your host, moderator, and boss babe extraordinaire, Jamie Court.
Yes, that is me. I love it. He did well. I'm happy with that. Don't you think he did well? He did well. All right, our very first panelist we are going to invite up. She is she's a conscious brand strategist. She is the founder of Total Genius. She actually helps people transform their talents and passion into actual action in their life. Please put your hands together for Shauna Yao. Our next panelist is a media expert and honestly a renowned publicist. So when we were talking about online how to get to the red carpet, how to go to the Oscars and the Grammys and things like that, this is the lady that is going to take us absolutely there. Please put your hands together for Raquel Figlo. It is time to introduce our next panelist. She is a wealth warrior. This is a category within itself. She's a financial coach. She helps you expand wealth. She will help you find money where you had no idea money could be found. Please put your hands together for Tamar Hermes. Final panelist in our very, very first one, we have the YouTube strategist for BuzzFeed, which we're all super excited about. She also does some food blogging, which I'll tell you a little bit about, but we would all love to be featured on BuzzFeed. This is the girl that's going to take us there, what they are looking for when they're looking for material, all of that. Put your hands together, please, for Marae Kuroglian. First of all, did I get that right? I did it well. I did it well. All right, so the first person that we're actually going to talk to is going to be Shauna. Shauna, we are talking about clarifying your vision into a brand strategy. So tell me a little bit about how do you clarify a vision? Like we could be starting out, maybe like we're just starting out on our road, or our business has grown a bit and we are morphing or growing from there. How do you clarify a vision?
Well, first I want to talk about why we lose clarity. And this applies to everything in life. But when we're born, I believe we are all born with a dream. And we're born perfect. We don't know anything about judgment, fear, or anything. We're curious, we're conscious, and we're connected to ourselves. And our personalities are developed between the ages of 0 to 7. And that's when, when the kids are at school are mean to you, you grow up in a certain situation, and we go from conscious to understanding what self-conscious is. And over the course of our lives, every time that you lose clarity in anything, it's because of whatever it is that personality trait that you have that causes this fear or this need to be accepted by others. And so when you go and you want to start your business, or you're in your business, and everyone's telling you have to do it a certain way, or you're trying to fit your big dream into a box. And that is when you go from conscious to unconscious, and you lose the clarity. And so to gain back clarity in whatever it is in life, so in this case, building your brand and understanding your vision, it's really coming back to who you are, really getting that connection back with yourself.
And I have a question about that. Okay, so we've been in business, let's just say for a very, very long time. Let's say I've been in business for 12 years or 15 years or 20 years, whatever, right? So we're clarifying that brand strategy. How, if we feel lost, what do you do, like practical, like what is a practical tip that we can actually do to clarify what our personal vision is? How would you do that?
I actually recommend that everybody do this regardless where you are in your business, and even if you feel like you have clarity, but to every day, to start your day focused on yourself. Many people talk about meditation. I like to recommend something called active focus meditation, where within an hour of you waking up, you go outside and you go walking or running, some continuous fast movement where you're getting your endorphins going, and you're playing your favorite theme playlist. And you focus on your vision, on your highest self, on what's important to you, your value, your values. And you do this every single day for the rest of your life before you talk to anybody.
What does that mean? Does that mean that I'm putting on this playlist, right? I create a playlist that makes me feel a certain way?
It could just be a one song, but you play it over and over again. And it should bring out some emotion in you. And when you combine emotion with audio and your endorphins, it actually produces new neurotransmitters or new neural pathways in your brain around your confidence. And you have to do that before you get on social media, before you start hearing other people's messages, and before you lose that connection with yourself. So that then when you go to run your business, you have you on your mind, your vision, the way that you want to do things. And you're not letting the voices of other people get in that way. Then, go and build a system and do the things that people say if it resonates with you. But it's not whether it's right or wrong, is it working for you? And that's what I want everybody to understand, is that when we lose clarity, we're trying to do something or trying to fit ourselves in places that don't match our values. And so I hear a lot of people talking about building your brand and doing all these things, but nobody ever talks about creating a business that matches your values. And when your values take you back to who you are as a person, who you are connected to in your heart, and everything should be based on that.
Okay, so walk me through it. So let's say, because for me, I'm a DJ, right? So mornings can be tough, right? And there are people that work nights or graveyard shifts. So is it whenever morning is to you, whenever it is like the first hour that you wake up, the first half an hour, the first 15 minutes?
If you wake up at night, that it still could be that, but it is just during our sleep, our body repairs itself, your mind is clear, and it's just the goal is to do it before you interact with the outside world.
Okay, so when you're doing this, so you've got, let's just say my master playlist. This is what makes me feel alive inside, right? So I'm here alone with myself. I'm out, I'm in nature, or let's say I'm in a wheelchair, right? What would you do if you're in a wheelchair? What if you're wheelchair bound?
You go outside and you go rolling down the street.
That sounds great, okay.
I mean, it's about getting out in nature and not being around anything else, not being around technology, and being in your mind in a space where you're not judging yourself. When you are out and you're active and your endorphins are going, it shuts down what I call your stupid thinking brain, the one that is smart, but it also it's where cognitive dissonance happens, where we judge ourselves. And when you do things like live Instagrams, when you're actually like doing them with the camera to you, or you do things that are like you're active and your endorphins are going, it shuts down that stupid thinking brain, so your emotional brain which is the genius, can shine, and that's the one that's connected to your heart.
Okay, so I'm doing this exercise. I'm up in my morning, right? I'm out in nature, I'm spending time with myself, and I've got this playlist going. Am I thinking about how to clarify things?
No, you're just thinking about what's important to you. You're thinking about your highest self. You're thinking about everything in your life that you're grateful for. You're just in your happy place, whatever is the happy place for you, and you have the intention, if you're trying to find clarity in your business, you have the intention of the clarity, but you don't focus on that. You don't need to, because right now you're just in your happy place.
So it's a feeling inside, like you're feeling alive.
You're feeling alive, exactly.
Okay, so what would you say for all the ladies, like if we're watching on rebroadcast or the ladies that are here today, what would you say is the one tip that will completely change their life? What they can walk away and say, I can do this today, I can do this week, this month, and this is going to change what happens.
It's going to be a couple steps, because I actually have one thing to do before the next thing. But first is just define what success means to you. There is no right or wrong way. It's what is working for you. And marketing is communication that gets results. It is not Instagram. It is not Facebook. It is not an email list. Marketing is communication that gets results. So if you find yourself and you're feeling lost and you're not making money or you're not getting the thing from it, and at the end of the day, instead of being grateful for the day, you're spending time beating yourself up in your head, that's not a business that you love. And even if you have a successful business and you go and you're working so hard that you feel like you're in a job, you've just created a job for yourself when you should be living your vision. Your business can be anything that you want it to be, and you can run it any way that you want it to be. You just need to add value to someone who needs what you sell and who wants to pay you money.
Actually, you know what, you said something about Star Wars, which I'm a
that's
total
right.
geek, so I love about that. Can you say really quick about, I mean, we only have a couple of minutes because you could do an entire panel on this, but say what you said about Star Wars, because we were talking earlier and you said something about you are the hero in your personal life, but you're not the hero in your business. The client is the hero.
And that's your brand story. And this is, again, about being connected to yourself. But we all are the heroes of our own stories. So when you can understand that it's just like Star Wars, and we are all Luke Skywalker, and we have this problem. You know, when Star Wars starts, he's in a problem. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi, who's the guy, comes and gives it, right? Is that Jay?
Yes, she's right. Yes, that is right.
and gives him the help so that he can then go and win the day and fight the warriors and the challengers. And that's the same thing with your client. So many people think that they're the hero to their client, but in actuality, when you become connected to yourself, you start to understand the emotion in your brand, and you understand the problems that your client is having. And when you can lead your marketing through that, that becomes your brand strategy. It's the story of how this person can achieve their goal, and you're just the guide from the side. You're there to support them along the way.
I want to put Obi-Wan Kenobi, by the way, on my cards. Like, that might happen again today. Can you imagine? Okay, so like in the short time that we have, so if there was something that all of us are going to have as a takeaway, what we can do starting right now, this week, this month, that we are going to be able to clarify our brand, clarify our vision, and actually put it into a brand strategy. What do we do? Like a practical step, walk us through it.
So first, define what success is to you. Then, I'm just going to challenge you guys to do this active focus meditation. I've had people like literally cry on the second day. But to do this for 5 days and really commit to doing it every single day. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if you live in a place where it's 20 degrees outside or whatever. But do it and see what comes from it. Set the intention that you want to find clarity in whatever it is, even if it's not related to business, if it's something in your family. At the very least, it's good for your health. And at the very most, it will make you realize that there's something a lot deeper about not just having a business, but being connected to yourself. And you'll just find that you'll start making better choices about where you spend your time, which is your most valuable asset, and everything that you're doing, so that you can actually invest everything that you have and you want into the right things.
And then it just filters down from there.
Yeah.
I'm doing that this week, by the way. I'm committing to that. I don't know if you're going to commit to it. I absolutely am going to commit. And I'm great with a playlist too, so that's perfect. Please put your hands together for Shauna. That was amazing. That is how you absolutely clarify your brand strategy and know if you're stuck or if you're just starting out, like, you know, how to gain clarity. So we want to build from that, actually. So we're going to turn over here to Raquel. Now, Raquel, you are the renowned publicist. So we're talking about getting on the red carpet. We're talking about increasing our brand exposure, really, right? So how do you get invited to things like red carpet events, influencer events, the Grammys, the Oscars? Like, how does that happen? We'd all love to go.
Great question. Well, first of all, you have to kind of turn it inwards. And would you invite yourself to your party? Would you invite yourself to the red carpet events? You have to see if your brand's on point. Everything from your image to your messaging, to your message. Are you consistent? So I definitely, look at that. Second is you have to add value to where you're going. If you're just starting off, I would reach out to the person throwing the party and saying, hey, you know what, I'm really good at Instagram. Even if you have 100 followers, 800, 15,000 or more, what value are you bringing to that event? So I take great photos. I get a lot of engagement. That's what I would say would help get you invited. As well, reach out to communities. There's so many different groups on Instagram, Facebook groups. Look at what your industry is. What are you into? Is it fashion? Is it beauty? As a publicist, I am a part of these private groups. One of them is called SARS, and it's awesome because people want people at their events, right? So reach out to them. Look in your community, see who's having a party and add value to that, and also look your brand be up to par.
Okay, can you actually expound on that? Because
Sure.
I really love that. We're talking about Facebook groups, right? You just mentioned Facebook groups, maybe like podcasts and those type things.
Yes, so right now, in your industry or where you live, you can definitely start pitching local media. Writers want content, bloggers want content. There's tons, I'm sure you see them out there when you're on Facebook. Someone has a blog. Actually, everyone has a blog. Reach out to them first, and before working with me, get yourself some press. It's really, I don't want to say it's easy to do, but it kind of is. You just have to go out there and go for it and just reach out to people. Out of 100 no's, you're going to get, one yes.
So basically, you're digging through the rocks to get to the diamond, right? You're going to go through all of these no's.
Am I the diamond? No.
You are the diamond, yes. But the yes really overall would be the diamond, right? And that's what we're looking for.
There's so many podcasts out there too, and they're fun, and that'll get you practicing on public speaking. And then when you do get to that radio and television, you'll be great.
Okay, so when you're looking for a Facebook group, are we looking for someone inside our industry, outside our industry, so that we can kind of increase the brand exposure? How does that work? Like, walk me through that practically.
It's just like Google. You just type it in. Let's say, like music face groups or, blogger face groups. Just type in your industry, and a lot of things are gonna pop up. With anything, it takes effort and research. So, it might take some time, but they're out there. Or even on Google, look up some, my industry is music and entertainment, so I type up music bloggers, and then go look on their websites, and then you have to see if they have an email, and if they don't have an email, everybody has an Instagram. And social media is the best way to get in front of those writers that don't want to give out their email address because they get a lot of submissions. I'm sure you know.
That was nice. You should have said spam. Submissions,
yes,
absolutely.
like all the time, and it's like you ignore them. But and then working with me, and I'd love to give some free advice. There's certain ways to get people's attention. First of all, be persistent, and then really be intrigued with what they're writing about. Like comment on their writings and just be engaged. That's what I think writers and people are really looking for, is being that engaged and not just look at me. So
I love that. Okay, so
and that's easy to do. That you guys can do.
Getting onto that red carpet. because honestly, PR,
well, you hire a publicist, and
well, of course you hire a publicist.
but,
because especially if you want to, all celebrities, that's the level that they're at. Because
the value they bring is being a celebrity. And being there, but like I was saying before, is when you reach out to that person, start getting known that you take the best pictures, start being known for that fashion blogger that gets that hit and miss photo that no one else gets, and send it to the person putting on the event. So now you're giving them content. So now they really want you to come to their party because you're, bringing them value, you're bringing them content. You Snapchat the entire day.
So if I'm like, let's just say that I'm an Etsy artist and I am painting, right? And I'm a student, and who would I reach out to for things like that? Is there a particular strategy, or you honestly follow the same strategy no matter where you are in business?
Oh yeah, no, you can, this is an easy strategy just by following and getting involved in your community. That's joining the Facebook groups. If you're an Etsy jeweler, like my friend Desert Daisy, who gave me this lovely crown, you put jewelry on people that get noticed, So,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would be the starting point for everybody that's here today or watching on broadcast? What would be the very, very first starting point to work your way up to the Grammys and the Oscars and those type of things? Would it be local podcasts? Would it be actually blogging?
Sure. Well, like I was saying from the start, you have to see if you would invite yourself to the party. Like, are you on brand? And are you on brand in your industry? As a publicist in music, I'm Rock and Raquel, I get rock and results, so my whole brand is rock. On my business card is me holding a guitar on, and I even say that they're creating legacies for music, entertainment, and lifestyle brands. So yeah, so if I'm going to reach out to a community or someone who's going to the Grammys, I'm like, come look at my brand. I totally fit in.
It's
I'm
something
a rock
that
star.
happens
You need a rock
naturally.
star there, yeah.
Exactly.
So just look inward and start there, and then also to get yourself prepared for those red carpet events. Start practicing by getting on. Not the smaller parties. All parties are just as important, but get some value going, get invited, and build your brand like anything else.
I love that. Please put your hands together for Raquel. We'd all love to go to the Oscars. That's a great first step. I love that. All right, so we talked about clarifying your vision and into a brand strategy. Now we talked about increasing your exposure here. So now we're going to turn to Tamar. Do you have your microphone?
I do have a microphone.
She's going to steal the microphone. I love it. You're sharing. Okay, so Tamar, you're a wealth warrior, and this has been coined a term to describe what you do. Now, we all pay $35 a ticket to be here, right? We all want our ROI. And it says typically an ROI is about 5% of what you invest, right? So we all pay $35 a ticket to be here. We want a $175 tip right off the bat that makes it super worth it for us to be here. And immediately we get that return. Like, what would you say is the $175 tip that makes today completely worthwhile?
Okay, no pressure here, right? I'll hand you a $100 bill on the way in.
I really like that.
Easy, guaranteed. So I think one of the main tips that I think creates a huge shift for people around money is to begin to start thinking about where you are blocked around money. And that shift, like where you can release yourself around money, is going to create a whole open way for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through an exercise and kind of show you how this can work, how you can start, because we don't realize as we go through businesses and we're talking about branding and marketing and it all sounds great, and then all of a sudden says, now you have to ask somebody for money, or now you have to make money to be a profitable business, and all of a sudden it turns into like, I've got to get money for this, like, and it brings in a whole other layer. And the truth is that what I work with my clients is looking at how that really doesn't need to be the case. That what we do is we put money like it's over here, and we're over here, and everything that we do is here, and money's over here. And I like to bring money together and like to show how money is everywhere. So the tip that I want to share with you and what I want to create for you is a way in which you can begin to see how you can be with money and how you can see how it's actually quite abundant. And that open way can, when you walk out of here today, will expand the way you look at money.
Can you walk us through that?
We're going to do it right now. So you can either, I like to have everybody close their eyes for a moment. It's like a moment of rest.
And I want you to envision yourself on a very beautiful beach. And the ocean waves are flowing and the air is just really a beautiful crisp feeling, and the clouds are in the sky, and you're just sitting looking at the ocean just thinking, wow, you know, this is just fabulous. Like, what a great day, what a great feeling, and you just feel very full. And all of a sudden, imagine, let me let you get there for a second, let you enjoy that. Now, once you're there, what I want you to do is see the waves coming and just turning into money. They're just, everything starting to turn into money. So as the waves come, they're actually dollar bills and they're gold coins. They're all coming in and out. And the sand is turning into money. And then the clouds are turning into money. And all of a sudden you're seeing that this abundance also is all with money. And sit with that for a moment and just think it's not something that's separate. It's not something that we need to be challenged by, that it's all here for us. And then once you have that feeling, I want you to pick yourself up and take yourself through a little passageway that you see. And I want you to come to a little house that you like, that's very enchanting and inviting. And I want you to walk in and sit at the table. And then sitting across from you, you're going to see someone that is someone that believes that you could have as much money as you want, that believes in the wealth that you desire, that believes in you creating all your branding, all your marketing, everything that you're doing, all your visions, all your dreams for your business, and knows that you can do it. And they're going to say something to you. And once you've gotten that message, thank them. And then I want you to walk out of the door and come back when you're ready. You might walk through the beach again and enjoy that beautiful, beautiful area, and then come back to here and open your eyes.
I'm going to tell you, I feel super relaxed and really motivated at the same time. I love it. Okay, so we just went through this visualization. How do we apply that practically? How does that increase our revenue? How does that increase our money?
So now once you're in that state, and now that we're all, just thinking, wow, there's a lot of money around here, I want you to write down a couple action steps. And I want you to start thinking about, who's that person that you met a couple weeks ago that said, you know what, I'm interested in your service, but you forgot to call them. Who's here today that might be able to support you? What have you not been doing because you were afraid someone might say no to you when you ask them for money? What other opportunities? Maybe there's somebody that you can call for some PR opportunities that are of interest to you. So it's important to write things down and then to actually do them. So obviously, when we say we're going to give you the ROI, what I'm doing is creating that visualization for you and then having you get into action and doing it. Because ultimately, you're in the driver's seat. The point is that it is all there for you. And there are opportunities. We shut ourselves off from money because there's a million reasons. Because we think people with money are bad, because we've been told that people with money are greedy, because we don't want the responsibility of feeling like once we have money, people might want money from us, people might want things from us. There's all kinds of layers that we have. And so the idea is just to release that and to be in the opportunity of it.
You said something to me actually when we were talking that this reminded me of. You said that money is not finite, which was an interesting concept that I hadn't necessarily heard before, because we do feel like, okay, this is what I do for a living, this is what I charge, this is what this should be worth. But your concept is that it's infinite, just the same as like the clouds would roll by or the waves would come in. So how do you reconcile that as a business owner where you're not afraid to ask for what you're worth or maybe raise your pricing? Like, how could all of us here maybe raise our pricing before we even leave the building by at least 5%? Because we feel shy about it, we're worried about it, right? It's part of life. We are worried that we're not going to get any bookings or clients or those type of things. How could everyone here raise their pricing by at least 5% before even leaving the building? Like, is that possible?
Well, I don't know if before leaving the building, unless you, I don't know if before you leave the building, but I think, you could do that very soon.
Okay, so this week, this month, how do we feel at least confident that we're able to?
Yeah, there were
raise
two
that?
parts. One was, how do I feel comfortable charging what I'm charging without feeling like, wow, that's a lot, or I don't feel comfortable asking for more. They might think that I'm being greedy or think that I'm worth more than I think that I'm worth. So the thing that you can do as far as raising your prices, well, first let me address the first one, because there was a couple questions in there that I want to get to. So the first thing, as far as your price, as far as what you feel like you're worth and where you're charging, that's something that the way to get over that is to start stepping into a new place with yourself in your mind about what is it that what kind of money do I really want to make? What's important to me? And what do I need for like my family, for my kids, for my retirement, for my life? Asking those questions. And then, everybody's talking about value. Of course it all comes down to value. But it's also how you're going to decide what you're going to do in the marketplace and actually take that chance to start asking for that money. Because there's no way to change it. There's no crystal ball that I can give you without you actually deciding, you know what, I am worth this, and this is what they're going to get, and this is what the value is, and this is how I'm going to ask for this, and just start asking. And some people might say no, and then before you know it, you're in a whole new level of income because you've made this decision to step into it.
So in other words, if the person says no, they're not your client. So don't worry about that. If the person says no, that's not your person.
A lot of times that's true. I mean, I do, most of the time I would say if the person says no, they're not your client. I mean, certainly there are times, I'm a pretty practical person, so if you really do need to pay the bills, they might be your client and you might need to talk to them a little more. I don't say just say no to everybody. It depends on where you're at. Realistically, I mean, if you're at a place where you can, ultimately we all want to, just work with the clients we want to work with. I do. I only work with the clients I want to work with. But, that takes time. I mean, I haven't always worked with only the clients I want to work with in my whole life. If I always say, my husband, I always say, if we didn't have money, we'd be at Starbucks right now, serving you up a Frappuccino. I also do what I need to do, and I do it with a smile on my face. So it's also that can-do attitude. It's also like always seeing that there's opportunities and always being in the opportunity of money. It's just really important. Now, as far as raising your rates, it's very rare that I'm in a room where if I ask a couple of people, especially women, because this tends to be something that we do to ourselves where we charge less than what we should. And I want you to just think for a moment, are you actually asking for the amount of money? If you really asked, if there was no way I could say no, if there was absolutely no way, if you were going to tell me this is my value, this is the price, if there was absolutely no way I would say no, how much would you be charging?
What if I'm thinking $1 million?
Well,
let's be practical, right? So there's a practical level as well.
Of course. I mean,
right.
but this is what I'm asking. I mean, obviously, maybe it is $1 million. I mean, I'd want to know what you were going to give me for that.
Right.
But certainly, I mean, it could be that. I mean, obviously, you want to be realistic, but generally, there's a lot of coaches. Some of them charge $125, some of them charge $250, some of them charge $600. Where are you at? What's your level of experience? What results do people get when they work with you?
So Tamar, is there something that we can walk away with, like in the short time that we have left, that everyone can walk away with and give themselves permission to raise their pricing starting today?
Absolutely. I mean, the permission is something that you give yourself. So, I mean, I would say try it on. I always say try it on. You have nothing to lose. And the truth is with money, for some reason, it creates something within us where we're just stopped in our tracks. It's like nothing can stop you faster in your track than when you start talking about money. So I invite you wherever the resistance is, wherever you feel like there's no way I could ever ask for that. Now, granted, I mean, $1 million, I mean, that's, if you're charging, $700 for a project and all of a sudden you ask for $1 million, that's not very realistic. I mean, that's not gonna work very effectively. But certainly if you're charging $7 and you go up to $1,000, that's certainly doable. That's within range, and that can add up. That's a big ROI.
So try it on. So try it on. Try it on. Try 5% raise. Try it on because you have nothing to lose.
I think, yeah, and I think, I don't even think you need to say 5% because a lot of times, like depending on where you're at, 5% isn't enough. You need to decide what the number is. Thank you. You need to decide what is that number for you, wherever you're at. It's not about the percentage. It's about really what you know, and you know what your markets charge. It's not that hard to figure out, how much you think based on what you're doing, how much people can be making. So, there's no reason that you can't be one of those people. So I would say wherever you feel resistance, wherever it's a little nerve-wracking for you, try it on. And also own it. Own it when you ask so that you don't get into a situation where you feel like, well, they still ask me for a discount. That is something that happens.
So you have a commanding,
Yes.
commanding is probably the wrong word, but you believe in the value that you have.
Exactly.
Which is why you're pitching that. I love that. And this actually is what makes you the wealth warrior. Please put your hands together for tomorrow. That was amazing. And we can all put that into practice right away. So we are going to turn to Marae. Now, Marae you are the YouTube strategist at BuzzFeed. And there's so many forms of social media. We talked about clarifying our vision, increasing our brand exposure, making money and keeping money. Now I want to talk about social media, and especially a name like BuzzFeed is so big, there's a lot of social media out there. How do you know which platform is right for your business?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think the first thing you have to figure out is who you're trying to reach, like who's your audience, If you're trying to reach young people, the platforms they're mostly on are going to be Instagram, a little bit of Facebook, and probably YouTube. And then if you're trying to reach older people, like people in their 40s and up, like Facebook's probably where they're going to be. Not as much Instagram, likely, right? So you have to kind of suss out where is your audience and then go for it then, like in that way. But beyond that, you also have to figure out like what's your bandwidth as a brand, as a company. How much can you do? How much can you afford to do? Going on YouTube, head first might not make sense for you. You might not have the fan base to grow on YouTube. You might not have even the equipment to, properly create videos on YouTube. But a place to start would be, Instagram, where all you need is a telephone. We all have smartphones. You post a couple times a week. It doesn't demand as much, but at the same time, you can build a fan base. There's great discoverability. And you can see, does your fan base want more than like 1-minute videos? Do they want behind the scenes? And you can build from there and move to like a YouTube channel and say, hey, now I have this. I'm expanding my platforms and I'm moving on to something different. And they'll follow and you'll eventually grow that way, but it's kind of starting where you think you'd fit best and you'd reach the right audience,
I like that. Okay, so when we're talking about getting discovered, because we talked about this earlier, YouTube is a hard market, because it's a broadcast station. That's really what it is, like you're broadcasting. It's hard to get discovered there just because there's a lot of people that are actually broadcasting there. But Instagram's a little bit easier, I know that you were talking about. When we're talking about not just our target market, maybe like age range, but what if, would it come into play what we're selling, or if it's a service or some sort of a product, would we take that into consideration?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, kind of like what was mentioned earlier, like if you're selling a product, like if you're selling makeup, if you have a brand for makeup, join those makeup Facebook groups, for instance, go to the place where people are looking for your brands, where people are looking for this information. So absolutely, it would depend on what you're selling as well. I mean, on the same side, if you're selling makeup and beauty products, YouTube is difficult to break into. Think about the space that you're trying to get into and think about how saturated it might be to start with. But what's different about your brand if you're doing eco-friendly stuff? Look out there, who's your competition, what their viewership looks like, what their fan base looks like.
So you don't have to do it all at once. The point is that we don't have to get on every single form of social media.
Yeah.
I feel like we have to have the YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Right. So basically, pick some place that is a logical place to start, and then grow your fan base and go from there. I like that. Well, what do you do? This is a big thing, especially for BuzzFeed. What do you do to overcome social media fear? Because sometimes we'll have a post and we won't do it because we're like, it's not polished enough, or we're not as confident in it, or maybe a negative reaction. How do you get over that social media fear?
Yeah, that's very real. That's something I have to talk to my producers about all the time, because, you know, they put out a product and sometimes it's not exactly what they wanted. The turnaround wasn't enough time. They didn't get to polish it. They didn't get to do more with it because we need it by a certain day. And producers get bogged down by comments all the time. It's like, I don't look at the comments, but they're on their video always looking at what people have to say about it because it's personal, it's something they put out there. And it bothers them, but at the same time, I always have to remind them, like, don't think about that one person that said something negative, because for every person that's gonna say something negative, there's 10 people whose lives are gonna be infinitely better, who love your content, who resonated with it, and there's gonna be so much more positivity that you could spread on social media by being on different platforms that work for you. You could reach so many more people. So I'd say never be discouraged to spread what you have, you know, talk about your brand. There are gonna be people that find you that are inspired by you. And, you know, don't let the haters do what they do. Don't let them get to you.
That is actually really good advice. It's really hard to read comments. You can't cover that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, everyone here would love to be featured on BuzzFeed. Like, we would all love to be featured on BuzzFeed. When you guys are looking for material, what is it that you're looking for? Like, what actually makes the cut?
Also a great question. So pretty much like our brand is very much us trying to spread positivity, because on the internet there's so much negativity, there's so many voices that aren't heard, and BuzzFeed's main thing is like, we want to amplify those voices. We want our viewership, which is mostly young people, to hear from voices they would never hear. Like, we put out a video like my life as like a gangster, right? I used to be in a gang, and that's a person, it's like, I would never hear about this person and what they went through to be who they are and who they're gonna be and their future and where they brought themselves, you know? And it's like hearing stories like that, right? And we always want our viewers to take something away from it, because, you know, as a big media company, we have the ability to reach so many people and inspire so many people, and that's what we want to do in every piece of content. You know, we have the silly things like we do snack swaps, but even with that, we want to bring education to it, like different snacks from different countries, so whoever's watching it knows what kids in Thailand are eating, knows what the kids in the Philippines are eating, but like it's very fun and approachable, and that's kind of like our brand, that's our shtick, you know? It's like fun, approachable, but also you're gonna learn something, and hopefully it's gonna impact you in a positive way, and you're gonna come, you know, from your little internet time feeling a little better, and like take away something from it that's uplifting.
Now, how would we take that and put that into our brand? So let's say that we are a single mom and it's 2 a.m. and we're making t-shirts down in the basement because this is our side hustle and those type of things. How do you take that strategy, like the BuzzFeed strategy, and regardless of what we do for a living, how do you actually build that into your brand?
I think like, think about what value you have to give to your fan base, or like your, like people purchasing from you. I always say fan base because that's what we call our viewers, like our fan base, our viewers. But like if you're that mom who has a brand and she's like selling t-shirts and stuff, you said? Things like that, right? I think that in itself, like if that mom started a blog about how she finds the time to even do that, how do you be a full-time mom and at the same time run a business? How do you do that? You know, what are hacks you have? What are tips and tricks? I feel like that mom's audience is gonna be other mothers that are buying things from her, and I think that's what her value is, giving, you know, her other moms her tips and empowering them the same way she was empowered to do what she does.
So then don't be afraid to tell our personal story then, like bring our personal story into the brand.
Yeah.
As long as you keep it inspiring, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
who knows,
Always
we might all make it on BuzzFeed at some point, right? As long as we spin it in the right way. I love it. Please put your hands together for tomorrow. That's a great giveaway. Well, I will tell you, we are about to do our giveaway for that first gift certificate for $100 to the Bliss Spa, which is at the W Hotel. Before we do that, I want to remind you again about the ladies that are on the panel and why you should feel so happy that you just happen to be in the same room as these ladies. And what's going to happen today? So we are going to do a Q&A. We're not going to do it from the audience just because sometimes what happens is there's one question and it just eats up all the time. We want each of you to be able to get an equal amount of time with each of our panelists. So, you know, as far as As far as Shauna is concerned, you know, the content creator, how to be able to clarify your brand. She is the founder of Total Genius. So on Instagram, she is total_genius. If you want to know more about clarifying your brand, she is here. You can actually come up with your brand questions and she will give you counseling right now. She will actually give you advice, and that's what she's going to be talking about, right? For Raquel, she is in PR. We're talking about the Grammys, we're talking about the Oscars, we're talking about all the steps that you can take to actually get there and increase your brand exposure. So you're gonna be able to go up to Raquel afterwards, and I believe that you can sign up for a 30-minute consultation.
Yeah, free consultation on your business.
Right, so that you can actually sign up today just because you're in this room. If you're on the broadcast, sorry about that, but you can still connect with her online. But today you can actually sign up for a 30-minute consultation with an actual public relations agency who does really great stuff like that. For Tamar, our wealth warrior, if you want to have that permission and you really need that drive to be able to increase your wealth, increase the money, not only that you're bringing in, but the money that you're keeping. Now you said, why limit yourself? It could be more than 5%. And I remember you said something between like 5 or 50%. Right? She's actually today going to be able to coach you and tell you how you can do that. I know that you're running a 9-week course that is completely immersive, and it's a group setting, as far as I remember correctly, and it starts on March 25th, right? The next one starts on March 25th, so you're not too late. So if you want to know more about how to build your wealth, Tamar is the person absolutely that you're going to want to take all of those questions to. And of course, we have Marae. Marae, we all want to be featured on BuzzFeed. We all want to be featured in that particular way. So if we have a brand or a business, it doesn't really matter what your point of view is or what it is that you're selling. If it's a product or if it's a service, you are actually here to answer all of our questions. And we want to keep you here for the rest of our lives. We really do. Please put your hands together one more time for our ladies that are on our panel.